welcome to the Don't Believe the Hype show. I'm Valerie Kelso, the founder and CEO of the show. And tonight we was meant to have a special guest all the way from another country, but because of the time difference and I gave them the wrong time, we was not able to have them on this show, but they will be on hopefully in the next 2 weeks on our show that will be coming up. Tonight I would like to thank PLT Massage and Wellness for sponsoring the show, and also Worldwide Entertainment. We are streaming on Roku, Amazon, and also on Apple TV. The show today, I would like to talk to each and every one of you about trauma and about things that are going on and some of the things that have been coming through our foundation, because lately we have seen an influx of women and young girls who are facing trauma or who have been going through something. And many of you just think Purple Light Touch Foundation is about massaging. It's much more than that. And we need to let you all understand we cannot keep believing the hype and the lies that is going on in the world, especially when it comes to about us, our self-care, and the things that are important to us. Because, like I said, seeing the amount of people that have been coming through here has been diabolical, and I'm now doing over 20 to 30 massages per week. That's why many of you don't see me around, is because that's what I have to do, and Valerie gets extremely tired. This week, well, last weekend I had the opportunity, me and Michael, we had the opportunity to go out and watch the movie The Sound of Freedom. It was a very touching and very emotional and inspiring story. I'm not going to tell a lot of you about what happened in the movie, so some of you can go out and watch it. But I would recommend anyone who cares about society and about people, you need to watch this movie. It's inspirational, and it also opens up your eyes to see what is really going on, because a lot of people don't realize that sex trafficking is a multi-million-dollar business. It's even taking over from drugs, alcohol, and any other abuse that's going on in the world. Because at the end of the day, how you got to look at sex trafficking, children are always being born. Drugs that kill, you're gone. But a child can be sex trafficked over and over and over and over. Not just children, there's also adults that are being sex trafficked. And America plays a big part in what is going on in the world. And this movie highlights the pandemic that we've got going on right now in this country. So without further ado, we are going to go into the show, and I would like to thank everybody for tuning in, and welcome once again to the Don't Believe the Hype show. And I would like to thank Jimmy's for coming in and always behind the camera. Any questions that you would like to ask me, feel free to reach out and ask me what it is that you would like to know. I remember a few years back when I was going downtown to the sex trafficking units, you know what I mean, and I was sitting there patiently, and one of our state representatives, he came on, and he started to talk. He did his presentation, and throughout his presentation he was going on about massage, that sex trafficking was going through massage, it was going through massage. You should have heard him. And I sat there patiently. At the end, the state representative said to all of us, has anybody got a question? And I put my hands up. And everybody was going around, because like I was like the underdog in the place. No one didn't really know me, but I was invited to go downtown, and I kept my hands up. And then he turned around and said, okay, I've had my hands up long enough, what would I like to say? And then I turned around and says, I own a non-profit for women and young girls recovering from domestic violence, abuse, sex trafficking, bullying, and anorexia, and all kinds of life-altering situation. Not every massage establishment sex trafficking come through. And I says, at my establishment, I give my services for free. And he was shocked. And I said to him, Why don't you come and sit down with therapists who really want to do their job? And I can tell you some things how you can combat sex trafficking. He took my number and he told his secretary to give me a call, or for me to give her a call. I gave her a call and I called and called and called. Nothing wasn't done. You see, many times people say they want to do something, but technically they really don't. There's a lot of places that you can go and get a massage. And I'm not saying to you don't go and get a massage, because massaging is very, very beneficial and important to the body. Not every establishment that is out there that deals with sex trafficking. I told him I could show him some things that need to be done. He wasn't interested. 2 years on, I haven't heard from him. I called, nobody don't really respond back to me, but that's okay, because everything is done in its time. To cut a long story short, I had a client, multi-millionaire clients. He would come and see me from when I was at my other establishment. I was seeing the guy for nearly 7 years. And then one day he came to me and says, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to come and see you anymore." And I said, "Why not?" He says, "Because I need to go and see Lucy down the road. Lucy's going to give me what I want." Anyway, he went. This time this man had open heart surgery. He had cancer. He had renal failure. He had ulcer in his stomach, a bad foot that would not heal. He had a lot of complications. And I told him, as long as you're coming to see me, I'm going to keep your body going. And he carried on seeing me for a little while, then he stopped coming to see me. And I told him, the day when you keep going over to see Lucy, I'm no longer going to be your therapist, because if anything happened to you, it's not going to come back down on me that I was the last person to see you, when the day before you might have gone and seen Lucy. You see, I'm here in Northridge, Lenells, and this guy was going over to Basswood. And every time before he told me, he would say, "Oh, I'm going over to see Lucy. Oh, but Lucy wasn't there this time, it was somebody else." There are establishments that sex trafficking do go through. That's why if you go to an establishment and the women keep on changing and swapping over, that's because a woman that is being sex trafficked, or a woman that is who's giving her services and not getting paid for it because she's been moved from facility to facility, those are the facilities that you need to avoid. To cut a long story short, because the guy stopped coming to see me, he passed away. You see, there's a lot of people out there, and a lot of men, who that's all they care about, is going into some of these establishments just to get the leg over. And that's what I'm just going to call it, basically, just to get the leg over. They know what's going on in these places, but a lot of people don't care. And that's when we become that innocent bystander. We see it and we want to turn a blind eye because it's not our problem. It's not on our doorstep. It is on our doorstep, but in our eyes, I don't see why I should say something. I'm going to let so-and-so say something. What happens if it's your child? Would you not want somebody to say something? Just because this lady might be from another country, that don't mean that we cannot say something, because at the end of the day, that lady is still a human being. Each day, children are being taken from their families and taken from their parents and never seen again. A lot of them are coming from abroad. Look at what happened the other day with that coach, that truckload of people that was coming into this country. What happened to the guy that was driving the truck? Nobody don't know. What happened to all those children that was on the truck? Nobody don't know. We talk about the border and we talk about all these things. But what about safeguarding the children? We see them. that movie brought a lot of tears to my eyes, because why? And a lot of times I was in my seat like, and I felt a little bit embarrassed, because there was a couple sitting next to me and you could hear it from her and you could hear it from me, and I'm thinking, I just wish I could just get in that movie and just do what I had to do, but I couldn't, because it's a movie. In a few months that movie is going to be out of our system, because it's a movie. Because we don't know and we don't see that child who's been sex trafficked. You know somebody right now who you feel in your heart is doing something that's not right. Are you going to stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to make a difference today? The guy that did the movie, I remember when the one line that his friend said, I cannot do this job anymore. I cannot do this job. Because what about the children? When you go to your bed tonight and you look at your child and think, what would you do if somebody was to take your child? How would you feel if somebody was to take your child? You wouldn't feel good about it. Through Purple Light Touch, we see so many women who have been broken, who have been bruised, who have been hurting. And I'm not talking about women who are hurting from last week or a month. You're talking about years and years of pain. Years and years of anguish where family members have molested them and have turned a blind eye because they need that money to come into the house. Oh, mommy needs to pay the electric bill. So uncle decides to rape that child and mommy knows about it. That is still sex trafficking. In our days that was called prostitution, but today now is called sex trafficking. That sweatshop that you go to and you see the people around the back and you see them coming in by the van loads and leaving out of the van loads, that's sex trafficking. People just think as sex. It's also could be somebody that owns a shop who's got all these people coming in and are using them for their gains. Hotels. But people don't talk about those things as being places that people can be sex trafficked through, or not even, or cleaning the hotel because they can't do any better and they're on not even minimum wage. What are you going to do today? This man made this movie. That movie is at the box office, when I looked at it last night, has collected over $40 million. $40 million. Do you know how many children and grown-ups are being sex trafficked every single year? Sex trafficking right now is starting to over suppress slavery, believe it or not. That's how bad it is. It's a crying shame that we can see all this and don't want to do anything about it. You know, we can drive down the road and we can see a car accident and then we will drive past, it doesn't, it's not nothing to do with us. You know how many people have come back and said to me, I drove past that accident and it was somebody that I knew. It was somebody that I knew. That's how we have become we've become a nation that we don't really care much about people anymore and their feelings, because we look at it, well, nobody don't care about mine. I run this place, Purple Light Touch. I'm here from 8:30, 8:45 every single morning, and I never know who's going to come through my door. Some I do know, some I don't. Sometimes I keep open appointments just in case somebody comes in who is in need. That's what we do here. Sometimes they don't even get on my massage table because they can't, because by the time they walk through the door, people are crying, people are hurting, and I do my best to console them. You know what I mean? I told you yesterday on one of our Facebook page about the lady that came through. I know All she wanted was for me to get something to eat, and I'll be honest with you, where we went, I don't even like the food from there. But you see, it wasn't about me. It was about that lady. That's where she wanted to go. She said she loved the place. And so I said, okay, let's go. And by the time I came out of there, it was not even late. I sat in that car and she broke down about her children, about everything that they'd gone through, being taken from one state to another state. I only shared a little bit about what she said. But trust me, by the time I got out of that car, I was so tired. And I got home, I sat down and I wrote that post. I've had that video on my phone for over a week, wondering if I should post it. And sometime God is going to tell me, you've got to post it, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. There's so much things, so much information on my cell phone. It's unreal. Things that God has told me, and I just don't post it, not because I can't, because I'm scared. It's just that I'm so tired by the end of the day, I don't even want to look at my phone. I'm telling you all these things because Purple Light Touch do need women who will step up to the plate, who is willing to go that extra mile to help somebody else out there. Are you willing to help somebody else? Are you willing that when you see something out on the road that don't feel right and the Holy Spirit is tugging at you to do something, are you willing to go that extra mile and say, you know what, I'm going to stand up today and do something about it? I know some of you do, and a lot of ladies who talk to me on a regular basis, they say this is what's going on, and I commend them tremendously because they don't turn a blind eye. But many of us turn a blind eye. Many of us. Because it's not our problem. It's not our issue. I see young girls coming here who are hurting, who are breaking. Whose aunt and grandmother don't mind me talking to their children. Because I can relate to a lot of things that are going on. Because yes, I might not have been sex trafficked, but I might as well have been sex trafficked, but with some of the things in our days it would probably be called prostitution. You understand what I'm saying? Because some of the things that you have to do to make ends meet, right? And I'm not saying, okay, yeah, I'm a prostitute. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that some of the things that women have to do to make ends meet, especially when you're going through abuse yourself, it's hard trying to make ends meet. Okay, let's go. A guy might come along. Thank God no one didn't touch my daughter. I thank God for that every single day. I thank God no one ever touched my granddaughters. I thank God for that every single day. But I know a lot of people have come through, well, I didn't know what to do. This new boyfriend comes along, he says he will take care of you. Like the lady said, he says, I will take care of you, sent away the boy but kept the 5 girls. How can somebody want to do that? Because she didn't know what to do. You see, God says, and the Bible says, suffer little children to come unto me and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of heaven. And Satan says, whatever God wants, I'm going to have. And that's what's going on right now. Satan don't want our children to get to the kingdom of heaven. Satan don't want our children to be glorified in a beautiful place. So he's snatching our children from the TVs, he's snatching them by the music, he's snatching them by video games, he's snatching them however he can snatch them. And many of us parents don't even want to snatch back our children because we can't be bothered, because we've got to go to work, we've got to do this, it's always we. But what about the child that you birthed? If you knew that you couldn't do the we, and it's about you, then you shouldn't have had that child in the first place. because that child is now weak, that child is now part of you. But you're just letting that child run with the video games, running with TikTok, running with all these things. I remember when my granddaughter came over here, and she might not like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to tell you as it is. She came over here, there was a guy talking to her, and he told her, she didn't know him, she came to visit, and he said to her, oh, why don't you come to my house and we can watch Netflix and have pizza? And I said to my granddaughter, you ain't going nowhere, right? If he wants, I said, if you want to go, I'm going to meet him. According to her, he was living with his family. I said, you ain't going nowhere. She was upset because she wanted to go. And Jamise can testify about the situation, because Jamise, I had to call Jamise because Jamise had some young girls. And I told her, no, you're not going to nobody's house to go and watch no pizza. You don't know the guy. You've never been to his house. He's telling you to come all the way over another part of town. And you've never been there. You don't even know about taking the Uber. You don't know about anything, but you want a friend. So he was, and you befriended this guy. I said, do you know how many girls are getting caught by oh, let's watch some Netflix. If you want to watch Netflix, I can buy you Netflix and I can give you pizza. You don't have to go over nobody's house to go and watch those things. She was upset. In the end, the guy stopped talking to her. Who knows if he wasn't a sex trafficker? Who knows if I wanted to see my granddaughter again? Because remember, she's from England and she's got the beautiful, sweet and innocent look. She was only, what, 17 at the time? Parents, you need to be mindful of what your children are doing, whether it's on Snapchat, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok. You've got to be out there minding your children. These kids that was on that movie, they were children. They were children. They were 8 years old. They don't care what age a child is anymore, because the men are getting hungry and the men are getting greedier. They ain't going after 15, 16 and 17. They're going after now young children. Innocent children. School term is going to get ready to start back in a few months. You need to make sure that you know what your child is doing. You make sure you pick up your child, and if that child don't pick up, you let that child know. No, you're not going with any stranger. That man in that movie, it was all innocence. And you know the worst thing about it, and I'm going to tell you this part, it wasn't even a man. It wasn't even a guy. So don't think, oh, the sex traffickers are using men to lure your children away. They're also using women. Innocent women. Oh, you look beautiful. Do you want to do some modeling? Innocent women are now luring your children into a vice den. It's not always going to be men. They're not always going to go through massage establishments, because most of these children weren't even going through a massage establishment. They were being sex trafficked to high-end top people who was willing to pay for that little extra curriculum. Your child's curriculum should be in a school book. Should be in a school book, not to some iron men out there. Judges, lawyers, police officers, businessmen, because they feel they've got the money, they can do whatever they want with their money because they've got it. That's not what we want for our children. We want to see our children grow up. Go and see this movie. The man who did the movie is even saying right now that you can pay to, you don't even have to pay for the movie, believe it or not. The Sound of Freedom, you don't even have to pay, because the producer is offering someone to pay it forwards. You know what I mean? You can buy a ticket and give it to somebody else. If you go onto my Facebook page, you can just pull that link and buy a ticket and pay it forward to somebody else who is out there, you know what I mean? Spread the awareness, because your children are going back to school in August. Your children are going back to school, some of you in another country, in September. Your children are going back to school. And when they go back to school, you want your children to come home at the end of the day. When you go at that school bus and you see something that is not supposed to be, you stand up for somebody else's child. Don't let somebody else's child be taken. A few months ago, I did a course on harassment and the bystanders, people who see things happening and are bystanders. And you know, the one thing I noticed when I was doing that course was that when somebody saw a poor person, everybody walked past. Not a soul helped somebody that looked poor and raggedy on the road. But when the businessman fell down, you should have seen everybody running to that businessman. That was the same man that was dressed up as a poor person, went and changed his clothes and put on a suit and came back and pretended to fall. And you should have seen how quick everybody was running around that guy. Remember when Jesus came here, Jesus didn't come here in a fancy suit. He came here in a manger. Jesus didn't act like, oh, I've got all the money in the world. He came here raggedy, and yet we will see somebody raggedy on the road and we will walk right past them because we look at them as, oh, we can't touch that person. Many of us have walked past Jesus and don't even know that we've walked past Jesus. Many of us have walked past Jesus and don't even know we've walked past Jesus. Purple Light Touch is here to empower you, to uplift you, to transform you. And if any woman or young girl who has gone through something in her life and you want to make a change, you want to make a difference, I'm willing to bring you into here to make you make a difference. Because I can tell you, I went from nothing to where I am today. And I'm never going to make a young girl ever feel when they walk through these doors, or a woman walk through these doors, feel like there's some raggedy person on the street, because that is not what we're about. Because everybody is important who walks through the door, because at the end of the day, we never know who's going to walk through the door of Purple Light Touch. I've seen people, iron people, and they've got the same problem as somebody down there. Because Satan has got no respect for age, he's got no respect of colour, and he doesn't even care who you are. He does not care who you are. All he's here is to kill, steal, and destroy. So if you want to come to Purple Light Touch and you want to see something different and you want to help us to get to the next level, to keep on helping and supporting women and young girls who are going through trauma, sex trafficking, bullying, anorexia, anything that a woman or a young girl, we've got a computer room that is not even being utilized because I haven't got the manpower to help me to get the computer room up and running. I've got a t-shirt design room that I can't even get up and running because I need the manpower. I need women to come in and support the women and young girls who are going through something. There's so many young girls who are going back to school and cannot even go home because of somebody's going to molest them when they go home. Don't let that be your daughter. Don't let that be your friend. That child now has to be taking drugs, and the next thing you know, that child is dead because she had no one to talk to. Purple Light Touch has got the facility right here who can help all these women and young girls who are going through something. And I can't even get the help to help. I hear people say, oh, well, I give my money to the children who need water. But what about the children right here on your own doorstep? What about the children right here on your doorstep who is in need of help? this podcast today isn't just about the sound of freedom. Because the sound of freedom, nobody will never know what it feels like to have the sound of freedom if you've never gone through something. Because it's just a sound. But when you've been delivered, you can make the biggest noise. You can shout from the mountaintop because you know where you've come from and what you've been delivered from. But if you've never been delivered and you don't know what somebody else has gone through, then how can you help that person? How can you help somebody if you don't know what they've gone through? A lot of people are suffering with mental health, not because no one don't really care and they feel they're on their own. I did a course on mental health. I've done a lot of courses, and I don't share a lot about what I do here at Purple Light Touch Foundation. A few weeks ago, a gentleman walked in. Luckily, I was sitting at the front. A lady was sitting beside me, and the guy, first thing he came in and said to me, "Are the young girls in here? Are the lady masseuses in here?" And I said, "Yes, they are." And I knew what else he was going to say, and I says, "But this place is for medical massages. This place is not more." I was trying to let him know, this is not the kind of place that you think you're coming to. And he says, okay, I'll come back. And the lady beside me went and gave the guy a card. I said to her later on, "Why did you give him a card? If I wanted to give this man a card, I would have given him a card." This man is not coming back, because this man came in. Once you hear a man come in and say, "Is a female masseuse in here?" already he's looking for sex. And she says, "Oh my God, I didn't know. And I says, that's why I'm very mindful about who I have in here, because when the police close down one place, that means they're looking for somewhere else to go. If you go somewhere and you do not have to fill out any paperwork to get your massage, hear what I'm going to tell you now. If you go to any massage establishment, especially foot massage, foot palace, hands and feet, as long as it says anything like that, you do not have to fill out any paperwork. But behind the scenes, something else is going on behind the scenes. Because technically those places cannot give a massage. Because if you haven't got a paperwork to say, okay, this is a massage establishment, then you don't go into those places. Because you never know if a police is going to come and raid one of those places, because behind the doors, something else is going on. Did you hear what I'm saying? If you do not fill out any paperwork at any massage establishment that you go to, and you sign a consent form, you stay far from those places. Because those are the ones a lot of sex trafficking and a lot of things are going through. If it's a massage establishment, we have got to get a license. We've got to get an establishment license. There's a lot of things that we have to do, and every one of our licenses have got to have our pictures on it. Every room I've got in this place has got my picture on it and my license and my number. I'm a licensed instructor. I'm also a licensed massage therapist, and I'm also a medical massage license. I've got my license in PTSD, domestic violence, sex trafficking, right? Cancer care, fibromyalgia, people living with pain. I've got so many different things. I've even got certificates where nutrition and heart disease and diabetes, mental health. I've got a lot of licenses. I don't put them all up because I've got so many, and I'm trying to think of all what I've done over the past 10 years. But even today, my instructor's license, I cannot instruct unless I've got an instructor license. I've got an instructor license. So if you go into an establishment and it's somewhere, and there's no license and they're giving you a massage, remember what I tell you today. If anything happens to you, that is down to you. So you make sure you go to reputable places where you can get a massage. I massage everybody biblically, everyone that walks through my door. I don't care who you are, you're going to know about the power of God and you're going to understand your body because I'm going to give you a biblical massage. That's what we do here at Purple Light Touch Foundation. Why does don't believe the hype mean a lot to me? Because too many times we believe the lie rather than believe the truth. Too many times we don't even want to accept what we see in front of us. We want to accept what we cannot see. Because that's how we have designed ourselves to be. The truth hurts. A lie doesn't hurt us. A lie doesn't hurt us, but the truth hurts. I'm pleading with you today, I'm pleading with you this evening before I closed out on this show. Are you willing to make a change in somebody else's life? If each one of us went out and touched somebody else and made a difference in somebody else's life, you know that God would come quicker. You know that, right? It's not about us. Because when Jesus comes back, when God comes back, he's going to say, Valerie, what did you do when you saw this happening? Remember, he says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Are you going to let him in, or are you going to keep on turning a blind eye? Go out and see the movie. Make a difference in somebody else's life. Make a difference in somebody else's life. And watch and feel how good you will feel within yourself when you make a difference in somebody else's life. Don't stop making your life be about you. Be that change. Reach one, touch one. Like that song says, reach out and touch somebody's hands. Let's make this world a better place. Thank you for tuning in to the Don't Believe the Hype show. I'm not sure if anybody has commented because I didn't really put the show up, but it's okay. I will see you all in 2 weeks where we will have some special guests all the way from England who will be on our show. So you all have a wonderful and blessed evening and talk to you all soon. Bye.
Don't Believe the Hype show.
Every Thursday, fortnightly.
For news, views, reviews and more.
Join host Barry Kelso and guests from 6:30 p.m. Thursdays, fortnightly.
Don't Believe the Hype show.